Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. We're all about getting into the nitty-gritty, figuring things out, learning as we go. And today we're looking at something that, well, you might not think is a big deal in our digital world.
Uh-huh.
We're dialing into the journal notebook,
Okay.
specifically what it can do for men. We dug into a bunch of different perspectives on this. We even looked at how journals like the Lestallion Premium Journal Notebook for Men
Yeah.
are designed, their whole philosophy. We're trying to get to the bottom of how this analog thing can actually be really powerful.
Right.
So our mission, if you will, is to pull out the biggest, the most important insights about why a journal, a physical journal, can be so helpful for men, especially men. And we'll also look at some key features that make a difference.
It is kind of interesting when you think about it. I mean, when we hear journaling, right, what's the first thing that pops into our head? It's usually like someone pouring their heart out, or writing poems and stories. But when you really get into it and when you look at something like a Lestallion journal, you realize there's way more to it than that. It's especially helpful for men who are dealing with a lot, in their work and in their lives.
So let's break down this idea that journaling is valuable,
Yeah.
right? Like it's more than just a diary.
Exactly. It's not just about feelings. What we found in our research is that for men, a journal is a tool, a system for getting your thoughts straight, for dealing with stress and staying on track, on target with what you want to achieve. It's like having a place to put down all the stuff that's swirling around in your head all day long. And, men, we face all kinds of pressure, our jobs, our families, what society expects of us. It's a lot to carry around, mentally. Journaling gives you a way to sort through it all, to make sense of it. It gives you a feeling of control, I'd say, a feeling you don't always get when you're just thinking about it all in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like having a to-do list, but for your mind, right? You can take those worries and actually write them down, make them real, something you can deal with. We also found that using a journal can help structure your day, figure out what you want to get done,
Yeah.
and it helps you learn from what goes right, but also from the things that don't go so well.
Absolutely. When you use a journal consistently, it's like you create a system for learning and growing. You write down your plans, you look at the results, and then you ask yourself, what worked, what didn't? What could I have done differently? That helps you learn and adapt. And that's important in your work and in your personal life, right? It's not just sitting there and thinking, it's actively figuring things out.
So if a man is thinking about starting to journal, what kind of journal should he look for?
Yeah.
What's important? It seems like what we saw is that it's less about fancy looks and more about whether it actually works.
Exactly. Men tend to focus on what a journal can do, not just how it looks. They want something simple, not too flashy or decorated. And it has to be tough. You're going to be carrying it around, using it every day, so it needs to be able to handle that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be reliable,
Right.
like a good tool. And the paper itself, the quality of the paper, that seems to be a pretty big deal too.
Oh, absolutely. High quality, thick paper is so important. It stops the ink from bleeding through to the other side, which is crucial, especially if you like to use different pens or if you just, want your notes to be neat and easy to read.
Uh-huh.
When your notes are clear, you can focus better.
Makes sense.
And other things help too. A strong hardcover to protect it, binding that lets the journal lay flat so you can write easily. Even little things like a pocket in the back for storing stuff can make a difference.
So when we think about Lestallion journals, they seem to really get this right.
Yeah, yeah.
This idea of making a journal that's tough, that's practical, that's good quality.
They seem to really understand what men are looking for in a journal.
Yeah.
They want something that's dependable, that looks good in a professional setting, but that's also built to last. They use really durable materials for their covers, real leather or high quality fake leather. It's clear they're thinking about making a product that will last.
And they also really talk about the paper, right?
Yeah.
They emphasize that thick, smooth paper, the kind that doesn't smudge or let ink bleed through.
Yeah.
They understand that's a big part of a good writing experience. And the binding, they make sure it lays flat, which anyone who's ever tried to write in a journal that won't stay open knows how important that is.
Absolutely.
Plus, their whole minimalist design, simple and clean.
Yeah.
It just seems to fit with what a lot of men prefer.
It does.
So thinking about our listeners, the people who are here because they want to learn and absorb information quickly, How can using a journal like a Lestallion actually help with that? Because at first glance, it might seem like just any other notebook.
That's a great question.
Right.
Lestallion might not specifically say that their journals are designed for learning,
Right.
but the way they're made with the paper and the binding and all that, it really does help you learn better. Think about it. Have you ever tried to study from notes where the ink has bled through?
Oh, yeah.
It's distracting.
It's terrible.
Yeah. A good quality paper fixes that problem.
It's a mess.
And a journal that lies flat means you can write comfortably without having to fight with it. You
Uh-huh.
can focus on what you're writing, and that helps you remember it better. And and there's something about physically writing things down. When you summarize something from a report or write down new ideas,
Yeah.
you have to think about it more deeply than if you're just highlighting on a screen. It helps the information stick in your brain.
I have a friend, let's call him David, who was studying for a big professional exam. He was overwhelmed with all the study material.
No, yep.
Online courses, practice tests, you name it.
Sure.
He started using a Lestallion journal,
Yeah.
the Joie series, the one with lines. He would use it to summarize what he learned after each study session. Just spend like 15 minutes writing down the main points and important facts. He told me that writing it down by hand on that nice, smooth paper, it was like he was really making the information sink in. Plus, having everything in one notebook made it so much easier to review later. He didn't have to scroll through tons of digital files.
See, that's a perfect example of how the act of writing things down, especially in a well-made notebook, can turn just reading into actual learning.
Right.
The fact that you can touch the notes, that you have them all in one place, it makes a big difference.
So for someone who wants to start journaling or wants to get a better journal, what advice do we have for them? Thinking about the kind of features we see in a Lestallion, for example.
Well, first you got to figure out what you want to use the journal for.
Okay.
Is it going to be for your daily tasks, your personal thoughts, notes from work, or all of the above?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Once you know that, you can decide what size and format you need. The A5 size, which is pretty common for Lestallion journals, is a good choice for a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
It's big enough to write in comfortably, but it's also small enough to carry around easily.
Okay.
Then, think about what features would be helpful for how you'll use it. Lestallion focuses on lay-flat binding and good quality paper, which are great.
Yeah.
But you might also want a ribbon bookmark so you can find your place easily, or an elastic band to keep it closed. Maybe even an inside pocket to hold loose papers. Thinking about where and how you'll use it will help you decide what's important.
So now let's dig deeper into the benefits men can get from journaling regularly. How can a journal like a Lestallion, with its focus on quality and practicality, actually help?
Sure.
One thing we talked about was mental clarity.
Yes, yes. Writing down your thoughts can really help you organize them and reduce stress. Having a dedicated journal, a nice one, like a Lestallion, can make it a habit. It's like a ritual. You reach for that specific notebook and it tells your mind, okay, it's time to focus, time to work through some things. And the act of writing itself forces you to slow down, to think more deliberately.
Right. It's intentional. You're making a choice to sit down and write, and you have a specific tool for that, which makes it more real. What about emotions?
Yeah.
Our research mentioned emotional release.
Yes, that's so important, especially for men. There's this idea that men shouldn't talk about their feelings, but a journal is a safe space, a private space to acknowledge those feelings, to explore them, to process them without judgment. And, even the quality of the paper in a Lestallion journal can make a difference. When writing feels good, it's less of a chore and more like a way to really let go.
Yeah, it's like the journal itself is inviting you to open up. And what about goal setting?
Oh, that's huge. When you write down your goals, they become more real. They're not just wishes anymore.
Right.
And a durable journal like a Lestallion, it's like a record of your goals and your journey toward achieving them. It's something you can look back on and see how far you've come. When you revisit those written goals regularly, it keeps you focused and motivated.
Yeah, it's a reminder, a physical reminder of what you're working towards.
Yeah.
We also talked about creativity. How can a journal, even for someone who doesn't think they're creative, how can it help them be more creative?
A journal is a great place to brainstorm, to sketch out ideas, to let your mind wander without worrying about being judged. The smooth paper in a Lestallion, it's perfect for that.
Uh-huh.
You can jot down ideas, draw mind maps, even do some quick sketches. It's a low-pressure environment to explore different possibilities.
It reminds me of my brother-in-law, Mark. He works in marketing, and he's always under pressure to come up with new ideas for campaigns. He started carrying a Lestallion signature softcover journal with him everywhere. He said whenever he gets an idea, even if it's just a tiny little thought, he writes it down right away or does a quick doodle in his journal.
Okay.
He said that capturing it in that way, instead of just trying to remember it later, actually helps him come up with more ideas, helps him connect things he wouldn't have thought of otherwise. He credits that habit. And having a journal he actually likes to use with some of his most successful campaigns.
That's a really good example of how a journal, a well-designed one, can spark creativity.
Right.
When you write those fleeting thoughts down, you make them real, you can come back to them later and develop them.
So let's switch gears a bit. How can journaling help men be more productive in their work?
A journal can be your daily planner. It can help you organize your tasks, figure out what's most important, and keep your big goals in mind. Like with a Lestallion journal, you can have it open on your desk, and because the binding lays flat, it's easy to write in. You can use it to break down big projects into smaller steps, which makes them less intimidating.
Right.
And as you check things off your list, you can see your progress, which is motivating.
And a high-quality journal, it can make a good impression too, right?
Definitely. In the professional world, the things you use say something about you. A nice-looking journal, like a Lestallion, shows that you pay attention to detail, that you're professional. It's a good tool for meetings, brainstorming sessions, taking notes, and the journal itself can subtly reinforce your professional image.
So it's not just about the writing, it's about the whole package.
Right.
Our sources also talked about journaling for personal growth.
Yes, and personal growth is all about learning from your experiences. When you look back at your journal entries, your challenges, your successes, the lessons you've learned, it gives you valuable insight into yourself.
Okay.
And if you're using a journal that's built to last, like a Lestallion, it's like you're creating a history of your personal journey. You can see patterns, track your progress, celebrate how far you've come.
It's like a written record of your development.
Yes.
You can see how different parts of your life connect. It's interesting that a lot of successful people in all kinds of fields, they talk about how important journaling is for them.
That's right.
People in business, artists, you name it. They all say it helps them.
Yeah.
And that really shows how powerful it can be having a regular journaling habit, especially if you have a good journal, a reliable one like a Lestallion. Our sources also mention some more creative ways to use a journal, which might appeal to people who don't, naturally like to write long entries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A journal is great for capturing ideas quickly through sketches, mind maps, even just bullet points. If you're a visual person, if you think in pictures, having a space to explore those ideas visually can be really helpful.
Yeah.
And again, the quality of the paper in a Lestallion is perfect for that kind of thing. It can handle those quick sketches and drawings.
I remember talking to an old friend from college, Sarah, who's a graphic designer now. She always carries a Lestallion signature softcover journal, specifically for brainstorming visual ideas.
Okay.
She told me that when she's feeling stuck, she just starts sketching random shapes and ideas in her journal. She said the act of drawing on that smooth paper helps her unlock new visual ideas that she wouldn't have thought of if she was just staring at a computer screen.
That's a great example of how a journal can be a tool for your creative process.
Right.
It lets you work with your ideas in a way that digital tools don't always allow.
So bringing it back to professional success, how do all these benefits, the mental clarity, the goal setting, the creativity, how do they help you get ahead in your career?
When you have a system for thinking, planning, and reflecting, and a journal provides that, you're more likely to achieve your goals.
Okay.
It helps you be more proactive, more intentional. It encourages you to learn from your experiences and find new ways to solve problems. These are all important for success in any field.
Our sources also mentioned a connection between journaling and emotional intelligence, which is, is becoming more and more important, not just in your personal life, but at work too.
Definitely. When you write about your emotions, how you react to different situations, how you interact with other people, it helps you understand yourself better, and that self-awareness is key to emotional intelligence. A journal gives you a consistent, private space to explore those feelings and figure out where they come from.
So a lot of benefits, but the big question is, how do you make journaling a habit? It's easy to start, but harder to keep going.
The best way is to start small. Pick a specific time each day, even just for 5 or 10 minutes, and commit to writing in your journal.
Okay.
Some people like to journal in the morning to set their intentions for the day. Others prefer to do it in the evening to reflect on what happened. The important thing is to find a time that works for you and stick to it. And having a nice journal, one that you enjoy using, like a Lestallion, can make it easier to keep up the habit.
It's interesting that journaling isn't just about mental and emotional well-being. It can also be good for your physical health.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
You can use a journal to track your fitness goals, what you eat, your overall health habits. When you write down your workouts, your meals, how you're feeling physically, it can help you see patterns and stay accountable.
Mhm.
It's another way to be more mindful of your body and your health.
Finally, we noticed that a lot of men seem to like minimalist journal designs, like the ones Lestallion offers. Why do you think that is?
Minimalist designs focus on function and simplicity. They don't have a lot of extra decorations. For a lot of men, that's appealing because it lets them focus on the writing, the thinking.
Yeah.
There are no distractions. And the clean lines and simple colors that you often see in minimalist journals, like Listallion's, they project a sense of professionalism and practicality.
But even with a minimalist design, you can still make it your own. Right.
Oh, absolutely. Even with a sleek journal like a Lestallion, you can personalize it. You can add a quote that means something to you, use different colored inks, or just develop your own way of taking notes.
Yeah.
Those little touches can help you connect with your journal and make the whole experience more enjoyable.
So to wrap things up, it's clear that a journal, especially one that's well-made, functional, and has a clean design like a Lestallion, can offer men a lot of benefits. It's more than just taking notes.
Exactly. We talked about how it can help with mental clarity, give you a healthy way to deal with your emotions, help you achieve your goals, be more creative, more productive, grow as a person, and even improve your emotional intelligence. It's a space for you to think and reflect, a physical space in a world that's increasingly digital. It's a powerful tool.
So think about this. What if you set aside just a few minutes each day to write down your thoughts, your experiences, your hopes, and your dreams?
Yeah.
What if you did that in a journal, a physical journal, where you could touch the pages and see your progress? How might that change your perspective? How might that help you focus and move forward?
It's something to think about.
We highly recommend giving it a try.
Yeah.
Whether you choose a Lestallion or another journal that you like, the important thing is to start writing.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.